Secure men don't stuff their emotions. They feel them and they lead through them. Welcome back to the Secure Husband Podcast. Bruce Abbott, certified professional coach and founder of SecureHusband.com. The podcast where I help good men stop performing masculinity and start living in it with truth. Before I get started, take just a moment and hit that review button. If you like this podcast, give it a quick rating. Hey, I appreciate it. When I started on this journey, I would read all kinds of things in the manosphere about how men are not to feel their feelings, misunderstandings about stoicism, comments like, you're a man, ignore your emotions, don't feel, just act, feelings are weakness, be stoic, be strong. But we were divinely created to connect and have emotions. We're human. You cannot not feel. You can only stuff and avoid or dissociate, and that's not healthy. That kind of emotional suppression is not strength, it's shutdown. It's withdrawal. It's not stoicism, it's self-abandonment. And you're not making your marriage better by practicing this. You are slowly killing it. So I want to debunk this myth that real men don't feel. Because this emotional avoidance is sabotaging your healing, it's sabotaging your leadership, it's sabotaging your relationships. A secure husband can relate to his feelings without being reactive or needy, not stuff them down. I just felt the need to call this out because it's a toxic lie that in many of these male spaces that talk about your feelings are feminine. We all have a masculine and feminine part to us. It's how we balance. It's what makes us human and need to connect. This idea that feeling means weakness, that you don't feel, you just dominate. Our job is to think and fix and lead. That's it. No emotions. But that doesn't work. Because you've noticed you might stay calm on the surface, but you're numb underneath. You might avoid conflict, but eventually that pressure is going to build up and it's going to come out and explode in anger and rage. Because you can bury your resentment, but it's going to show up one way or another. Maybe sarcasm, withdrawal. And because you don't want to feel needy, you completely don't ask for what you need, and you never get it. You can't heal what you won't feel, and you are never going to be able to lead your marriage as a true leader if you've abandoned your own heart. Feeling your emotions doesn't make you less of a man. It makes you more capable of loving like one. Think about this. How do you not feel? Some men are using this approach in their relationships intentionally. Sometimes they're using it unintentionally. Just notice if you're trying to avoid your emotions, maybe without even realizing it. But if you've noticed, because you're human, you feel. How do you not feel? And sometimes you try to suppress it. You try to analyze everything and not feel anything. Sometimes you drink or scroll or overwork or overtrain to avoid emotion. Maybe you act like everything's fine, but inside you're just simmering and you're resentful. You tell yourself that you're not going to feel emotions, but then you end up shutting down during emotional conversations. And when you try to do this, it's uncomfortable. You feel uncomfortable just sitting in your own body. You're trying to disconnect from yourself when you try to avoid your feelings, but that's not effective. You have to get to a point where you say, yeah, right now I feel angry or sad or afraid. And you feel it without shame. Because that's where this is all coming from, is shame. You feel shamed for feeling. And here we don't shame, we don't blame, we don't guilt. But right now you're trying to fix your life from the neck up. But your body is keeping score, and it feels things greatly. So if you're doing that, just be aware, and then make a choice. Choose to feel your feelings. You don't have to be dominated by them. You don't let them shame you, but it's okay to feel them. See, feeling isn't the same as reacting. Got to keep the two separate. Because there's guys that I felt my emotions and it pushed her away. Well, no, you dumped your emotions on her. You collapsed. You may have gotten angry and made her feel uncomfortable. See, when you dump your emotions, you're asking her to regulate you. She doesn't want to be your mom. She doesn't want to be your therapist. She wants to be your wife and your lover. But when you dump your emotions on her, that's not leadership. So there's a difference between feeling emotions and dumping emotions. So when you can feel your emotions and self-soothe and work through them, lean into them courageously, not outsourcing your nervous system to someone else, not shutting down, but working through them in a calm, clear way. That's leadership. See, you can still feel everything and be grounded. So you can feel anger, but you're not going to start yelling and reacting from it. You can feel hurt, but still stay steady. And you can feel sadness and not be ashamed. That's emotional presence. That's masculine strength. Stuffing it is not masculine strength. Working through it, that's being strong. It started when you were a child. That inner boy inside of you, that young child when you were younger, 4, 5, 6, 7, 10 years old, someone in your life taught you that emotions weren't safe because you weren't born emotionally disconnected. You weren't born stuck in your emotions. You learned that it wasn't safe to feel. Maybe as a boy, you were told you were too sensitive or you're overreacting. Man up, stop crying. I'll give you something to cry about. You stuffed it. You buried it. You tried to become the calm, silent, tough guy. Maybe you were able to do it for a while. Maybe you were able to do it all through childhood. You were able to do it into your adult years. Yeah, it worked. Until your marriage hit tension. Until you felt rejected. Until she stopped wanting to have sex with you. Until connection required presence. Until your wife wanted to know, where is the secure man that I thought I was marrying? Then you're triggered. And the truth, you didn't know how to answer that because you didn't know where you were either because you were stuffing it. That little boy didn't need to toughen up. He needed someone to say, it's okay to feel. I'm with you. I'm here. That someone is you now. You get to show that inner boy how to manage those emotions in a healthy way. And that's what healing starts to look like. And so you work with that inner child inside. You connect to that divine guidance and truth. And you say, God, Spirit, universe, whatever's comfortable for you, help me work through these emotions. And you dialogue with him. And he gives you truth. He helps you work through the pain and debunk the false core beliefs that you've been operating from for your entire life. And you no longer have to suppress your emotions. You no longer have to feel shame about it. Because emotional suppression has had a cost on your life. Because if you don't feel, you think. And you think, I'm keeping the peace, I'm staying strong. But inside, you're building resentment. You disconnect from your body. You avoid the honest conversations you need to have. Maybe you numb. You numb the pain with alcohol, drugs, social media, porn. And when you numb the pain, you also numb the pleasure. You lose your spark. And you struggle with intimacy and affection and sex. Oftentimes you stop telling the truth, even to yourself. Because when shame kicks in, you have a hard time being honest. And your wife feels it. You can try to project this stoicism, but your wife knows it. She senses it. She may not know exactly what's wrong, but she knows you're not present. That doesn't feel safe to her. So she pulls away. And then all those feelings that you've been stuffing and trying to pretend aren't there, they rage up and you start chasing, or you collapse, or you go numb out again. And the cycle continues. All because you were trained to see emotions as weakness. But what if you learned from them? What if you saw emotions as wisdom? You learn about them. You learn how to lean into them. You learn to lead through them with courage. And you feel first. See, you don't have to become emotional in the way that you fear. No, you don't have to cry every day or collapse in front of your wife or be soft. You just have to be present. You have to be honest. Here's what I feel, and here's how I want to respond. Because that man's not bottling things up. He's not lashing out. He's not punishing with silence and withdrawal. He's not manipulating with performance or passive-aggressive behaviors. He speaks. He owns. He leads. He understands his emotions, and from calm and clarity, he works within that. You can feel without fear because you know who you are, and you stop performing, and you stop proving, and you stop reacting, and you welcome emotions, but you do it without collapsing. You're secure enough to say, yeah, I feel afraid without losing strength. You don't feel shame when you say, yeah, I feel sad, and you can still get angry, but stay steady. See, you feel and you lead anyway. You're not controlled by emotion, but you're connected to it. And you become that mighty oak tree of calm strength amidst the chaos, which is what you were attempting to become in the first place when you thought you had to ignore your feelings and suppress them. Leaning into them, that's leadership. That's a secure husband. Because you're human. You're a man. A human who has feelings, and it doesn't make you weak. It makes you capable. So you don't have to collapse or dump your emotions. And you don't have to numb out. You don't have to be afraid of feelings. Just stop living in your head and lead through the feelings. And it'll take some practice. Your heart probably still thinks it's not allowed to speak, but it is, because you're safe now. And when you stop living in your head, then you can figure out why the healing isn't working. Because we were divinely created to have feelings and connect with others. I hope this podcast was helpful for you. Like I said, give me a review. Hit that subscribe button for more Secure Husband episodes. Share this episode with someone who you think may need to hear this. Visit securehusband.com for more resources. Hey, book one-on-one coaching with me, and I'll see you again on the next Secure Husband podcast.